everyone, welcome back. If you're new to my channel, my name is Avril and in today's video, I'll be sharing with you two super simple and easy to do IKEA hacks using the IKEA Lack side table. These side tables were put to use as sensory tables for my little toddler. So stick around to see how it's done and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell to support my channel and to be notified every time I upload a video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So to start on my first sensory table, here I'm using an IKEA Lack table which I've already got in hand, which was a bit damaged. So guys, since my table was already damaged, I decided to make a hole in it and insert an IKEA storage tub that could be used for any type of sensory activity. Here you see me placing the IKEA storage tub onto my table and centering it to be traced out. Once you are done centering the tub to the required area, all you need to do is take a pen or a pencil and trace down the bottom of the tub onto your table. I used a marker pen to trace down the tub because that was more visible. Now the table is all marked and ready to be made a hole in it. So guys, before you go ahead and make your pilot hole, you need to get a drill bit that fits your cutting blade. And the easiest way to come about this is to use your cutting blade as a guide and find a drill bit that goes with it. Once we are all set and ready, it's time to drill a pilot hole onto our table. Once you're done with your pilot hole, we are all ready now to use our jigsaw. Just a reminder guys, before we use any of our power tools, we should always put on our safety gear. So here I'm using my safety goggles before I start on my jigsaw. Now we are all prepped and ready to start cutting. All you need to do is place your jigsaw blade into the pilot hole which you have prepared earlier and use the guidelines and start cutting. This is so simple and easy to do if you got the correct tools. If you do not have a jigsaw like I do, you could always do this manually by using a handsaw. You would also get the same outcome. Once I was done cutting out the hole, I then used the container and placed it in to see whether it fits. As you can see, when I placed my container didn't slide through, so I had to recut this hole a little bit bigger. Here you see me marking down the areas that need to be cut, and using my jigsaw I repeated the same process and cut a bigger hole. Now as you can see, my container fits in perfectly, but it doesn't fit in snug. This is because the edges of the container is not flushed, as you can see. So what I have to do now is place the container back into my table and mark the edges of the container and repeat the cutting process. Now I have marked the edges of the container onto my table, and using my jigsaw I will be repeating the cutting process. Once I was done cutting, I then used the old rag and wiped my table down clean. Afterwards, I used an 80 grit sandpaper and sanded the edges of my hole to give it a clean finish. Next, I took my container and placed it in. This time it fit perfectly. So now my table is done and ready for any type of sensory activity. So guys, I'm using my sensory table this time to add letters and numbers for my toddler to be familiar with his letters and numbers. At this stage guys, you could swap the activities on this table for absolutely anything. For example, it could be a Lego table, a Play-Doh table, or even a craft table. So guys, this is how my sensory table turned out. I'm absolutely in love with it and I cannot wait to change the activities on this table. Hope you guys like it. So guys, for this second sensory table, you will need an IKEA Lack side table and a few train tracks. I'm using some which I've already got in hand. Here I'm using a new IKEA Lack side table which was on sale at IKEA a couple of days ago. But for this project you could also use what you already got in hand. As you can see, for this particular project I'll be only using the top bit of this table. At this stage, you could use any type of wood planks you got in hand. You don't necessarily have to use the IKEA table. Since this was on sale and it was cheap, I just went ahead with it. Next, I took my table and flipped it around because I'll be using the back bit of this table for this next step. Here I'm using some IKEA wheels which I got for a different project that I never used that I thought would go perfectly with this project. At this stage guys, you could use any type of wheels you already got in hand. I happen to have this pack of 4 IKEA wheels. However, I have found that the IKEA wheels are much cheaper than the local hardware store. Once you have got all your supplies together, it's time to screw in your wheels onto your Lack table. Here I'm using my drill to screw in my nails onto my table. In my experience, when it comes to IKEA furniture, you necessarily don't have to drill in a pilot hole. But if it's a solid piece of pine, you will then need to drill in a pilot hole before you screw in something. I repeated the process of fixing my wheels onto all 4 of the corners of this table. Once I was done fixing all 4 of my wheels, I flipped it around and prepped it for its next step. Here I'm using some IKEA train tracks which I've already got in hand that I placed on the table, forming a circle. Once I was done forming my train track, I decided to glue them down. Here I'm using Gorilla Wood glue to glue them down. So guys, just a quick tip. I found it much easier gluing my train tracks down by forming the shape I was after before I started gluing it down. Here you see me gluing down one train track at a time. I followed this process till I came to the end of my train tracks. Once I was done gluing all of my tracks, I set it aside to dry. So guys, at this stage, if you wish to have a longer train track, you could also use the IKEA Lack coffee table or go to your local hardware store and get a longer plank and fix some wheels on it. However, I wanted a smaller track, so I went for the IKEA Lack side table. Now my tracks are all dry and it's time to place my trains on it and get my toddler to have fun with it. So guys, this portable train table is so versatile that it could be even stored under your bed. I love the concept of this and hope you guys like it too. Okay guys, that's it for today. Hope you got inspired and enjoyed watching this video. Please give this video a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell to support my channel and to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, happy crafting!